My guest was a very successful NFL pro athlete who went from millions to losing everything in 90 days. You heard me right. Millions gone in 90 days. You heard of Mike Tyson losing tens of millions and going broke and having to start over. Today, we talk to another incredible athlete who battled from the NFL fields to corporate America. I want to welcome here in a second to the stage my friend Marques, aka Ogden, a former NFL player, inspirational speaker, author, and entrepreneur business consultant. A story of resilience and accountability. Let's have a real talk with my friend Marques in the house, and it's about to go down. What's up, Marques?
Hold on, Carlos. You doing all right, man?
I'm doing amazing, my friend. I'm looking forward to this conversation. You know, you and I are pretty much the same height, 6'5", 300 pounds. Actually, you're 6'7", if I recall correctly. And I was looking forward to having this talk with you, my friend. And I actually want to start this conversation here with something that I think is going to be very emotional to you. And it's about overcoming tremendous amount of struggle. And you happen to be mentored by incredible people, you know, in your career, professionally, in your speaking career, in your athletic career, and everywhere. And you travel around the world and you often talk about somebody very special, which is Uncle Bobby Grant.
Yeah.
And, you know, you speak very highly of him, and you often look forward for those monthly calls that you had with him. And, you know, we learned so much from the greatest ones. And I want you to tell me about how his mentorship and guidance have helped you navigate to some of the toughest situation in your life, my friend.
Well, Uncle Bob taught me a lot about how to really rely on leaning into yourself, what you can really bring to the table, but at the same time, how to really go about helping, learning from others, and that'll allow you to help yourself as well. So I used to always talk to him every once a month about what was going on with him. I was telling him what was going on with me, all these things. And he was just a great staple piece, man. And what he really did is he gave me somebody I could really lean on and talk to in tough times going through my separation and divorce, and then just learning how to deal with challenges in life and business. And just, man, just a real, real great guy. So I miss Uncle Bob, man. I miss talking to him. I miss having him be able to say, hey, Uncle Bob, what's going on, man? How you doing? What's the word? Just kind of, the whole process, man. And I really miss that, and I miss everything about that in that regard. So just great guy, great human being, this really really powerful guy, and it just taught me so much, man, about how to inspire others and how to really help others, get back onto their feet or move forward in their lives.
No, and I love that, man. I often talking about, how are we going to be remembered by, and who calls are we getting, on a day-to-day basis, right? I often ask people, when you look at your phone, who's the last five people that we talk, that we text with, that we empower one another, that we collaborate. And that's why I want to start the show with that. And you guys listening to us over here right now, I want you guys to think about, right, who is that person in your life? Think about, in your own life, Marquise, like who was the most influential person in your life? And part two of that question, why was that person so influential to you? And you guys also listening to us at home, think about this question, because this show is all about taking massive, massive amounts of knowledge and wisdom from our guests. But I want you guys to also reflect at home, the most influential person in your life, and why were they so influential to you? Because that's what leadership is all about. What would you say to that, my friend?
Well, to me, the most influential person in my life was without a doubt my father, Cheryl Philip Ogden, and he taught me a lot about how to be a man, how to bounce back, how to push forward, how to not be afraid to try something new, how to believe in yourself, how to take care of your children. I mean, our dad was our provider, our best friend, our protector, our leader. He taught us everything we need to know about how to do what we need to do to become men ourselves. And I feel if we had more people like my dad who helped me become who I am, it'd be a better place, because Great parents are absolutely, in my opinion, vital to their children, and it gives children a better opportunity to move forward. Does that mean you can't be successful without your parents or out of a single parent household? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. In my opinion, I can say from what I went through and who I am, what I had to go through in my entire life, I had a lot of success and a lot of things that I learned from my father, right? And again, like I said, it's such an important factor how parents play a huge role in their children's life because I have two daughters. I have a stepdaughter that's 21 and I have a daughter that's about to turn 10. And I have been there the entire time. Like that is my number one focus. That is my number one priority. That is my number one thing I want to do is be there for them and always let them know that I am somebody that can help them when they need it or when times get tough or when they're just looking for that next step or that next guidance in their life. So to me, without a doubt, our father, Cheryl Philip Ogden, was definitely my individual who inspired me, that made the most impact on me.
I love that, my friend. I love that. And you're speaking about your daughter, also thinking about our daughters are not far away in age. She just turned 12, Isabella, and she loves the stage. She's like you and I. She's a beast. Loves the stage. And shout out to your father, man. He did an incredible job. You know what I mean? You guys, turn incredible athlete. Playing for the Ravens and many teams, you know what I mean? Your brother as well, and you guys are just legendary, both of you, and that shows, you know what I mean? I always say you judge a parent by what the kids do, and your father for sure, it's a definitely an incredible example of an incredible human being that raised great children. And Marquise, you do a keynote called The Ego Mistake. And you and I, traveling the world, speaking on stages and dealing with celebrities, athletes, and CEOs, we see that a lot, as we are out there in the field, on going to events and red carpets, you name it. How can one identify these, my friend, and deal with it, so it doesn't affect every other area of our lives?
So, what you have to do is you have to remember the cardinal rule. When people are talking, are you listening? When people are suggesting things to you, are you actually trying to listen to understand or just listen to respond and try to say what you want to say, what you think you need to say? And it's not about what you need to say, it's about what others need to say, especially when you are a leader, a business owner, all these things. You need to be that individual that is always going to do exactly what you know you need to do, which is listen to your team first. Your team is going to tell you a lot of things, and without them, you can't see everything. Could you be looking at the vision of the company? Yes. Should you be relating to your team? Yes. Should you be making sense of things that are hard to understand? Yes. Should you be inventing new strategies? Always. But I don't care how great a leader you are. You could be Jeff Bezos, you could be Elon Musk, you could be Steve Jobs when he was alive, you could be Bill Gates. Nobody can see everything. Your team is got to be in place so key people can see key things. And the minute you try to say that it's all about what you think or what you want or where you want to be or where you want to go, then you're about to hit what I call the brick wall, which means at some point you're going to end up like me, bankrupt, broke, and almost homeless.
Wow, man, I appreciate it, brother. You're playing full out and talking about this because I bet you a lot of CEOs. I'm in Silicon Valley for more than 20 years now. A lot of guys over here in Silicon Valley follow me, and I speak quite a bit to CEOs out there, and it's something that we've seen time and time. CEOs being let it go because of that, right? They dealing with that ego mistake, and then not putting the team first, right? And I often talk about, right, you don't want to, we as leaders, we want to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Let our teams, let our clients be Luke Skywalker. Let them be the star. Let them shine and being that person of value. And let's shift here a little bit. I mean, you and your brother played together. That must be something incredible. The 0.001% of Americans ever make to the NFL, and you both made it to the NFL and played together. That alone is an incredible, incredible achievement. Tell me about a crazy story that went down in the locker room. Maybe something that you never talk about, and a situation between you and your brother that went down, or maybe they tried to gang on you too, and you guys, what is that?
No, it's interesting. A funny story like that is I remember we weren't playing together at the time. We were both playing football. I was in college, he was in the NFL. But I went out to visit him in Vegas, and he was living in his first home that he bought. Really nice home, a little bit more modest. He bought his dream home, his final home, maybe about 3 years later. But I was out there visiting, and we was messing around, and he was a big blackjack player, and I like to do golf. But at that time, I really wasn't allowed to go to the casinos. I was underage. So I could get into a club here or there, but wasn't going to be able to play at the table. So we would wrestle and have fun and all that type of stuff, right? And so I remember one time we were wrestling. He was 26 and I was 19. And we were just messing around, and we decided to, get a little more physical. And then, he threw me across the couch. We were playing, like in the WWF. And then he jumps up onto his couch, and he decides to jump off the couch and give me, the rock bottom elbow, like the people's elbow. And I remember, man, getting that elbow. And I remember really and truly just being like, wow, that really hurt. That was really boom. And he almost broke my ribs as he was messing around. So I don't talk about that a lot because that's really fit into our podcast. But if somebody asked me a funny story about the two of us, yeah, man, at the time that my brother almost broke my ribs because we decided to mess around like WWF style. And he said, let's go off the top rope like the people's elbow. And then he decided to jump on me. And, at 340, 50 pounds, coming down on you off the top rope at 6'9", that's a lot. And I paid the price.
I can relate. I used to be 400 pounds. I dropped some weight this past couple of years. Now I'm like 290, 295. So I know when I love MMA and fighting, and it's not funny when you come down on somebody smaller than you, because you're 6'7", right?
I'm 6'6". Yep.
6'6", yeah, man. So, and then imagine when you were 19, man. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that story.
Always.
And Marques, let's go back into the NFL. I mean, your journey from the NFL to business is truly remarkable. Can you share that pivotal moment that led you into transition from that professional sports into your current career as a successful speaker, author, and consultant?
Yeah, so great advice that I got from Jack Del Rio, who was my rookie head coach in the National Football League. Jack told us when I was a 22-year-old rookie, 2003, just drafted out of Howard by the Jaguars. He said, Marcus and everybody in the room, be your own CEO. Be your own chief executive officer. And I was like, that's brilliant. Because what Jack was saying is that, yes, we all work for the Jaguars. Got that. But that is not saying that you aren't your own brand, that you aren't going to be making your own decisions, like to be early or stay late or go into the community, meet people, talk to people, all these things. And so at the end of the day, like I tell people, and I tell everybody the same thing, you have to be your own CEO. It is without a doubt non-negotiable. So if you're listening to this, understand that it's so important that you are your own self-starter, your own self-promoter, that you're your own individual who's going to get up and go and do things. Now, if you're leading people, you got to be a self-inspired self-starter, but you also have to inspire the others that you're leading and that you're helping to charge forward. And a lot of times, sometimes people forget, this is really, really interesting, but at the same time, well, I want to do it this way or my way. Well, it's not about doing it your way as a leader. Great quote by Dwight D. Eisenhower. Leadership is the art of getting people to do what you want done because they want to do it. General Dwight D. Eisenhower. So, at the end of the day, if you're listening to this episode, it's so important that you as a leader are a self-inspired, self-starting individual. But if you're leading people, you need to also get them into a position or into a mentality or a mindset that you can help them charge forward with what they need to do so that everything that you want done, as General Dwight D. Eisenhower said, feels more like their idea or what they want more than what you know is what you want.
Yes. No, man, I love that. I love that. And as you and I know, Marquise, a lot of people, since 2020, they lost everything. And some of these people, they still rebounding. I mentored quite a few folks over here in the LA area. A lot of the studios were down, people that were in movies, in productions. And to this day, a lot of them are recovering. I often talking to actors and actresses, they know that they don't even have cash to put some food in the table. It's an ugly world that we don't talk much about, right? TMZ and some of those channels out there. And a lot of people that are listening to us, they still rebounding. Some of them are struggling. A lot of people are being laid off. And you happens, to been through something pretty crazy. I mean, you from millions to 90 days later, all being white, gone, done, finito, not a zip. How did you use that lesson, my friend, to rebuild your life and your career? Because somebody's listening to us right now and might be thinking, like, oh, it's easy for you guys. Like, no, I mean, I sold bread when I was 7 years old. And I used to say one day I will be mentoring athletes and celebrities and presidents and CEOs of companies. But it was tough. It's like doing the stuff that nobody wanted to do. Going in for 10 years, making 50 cents a day to get out of the hood and the block, and having your loved ones being murdered and taken away from you, right? It's like, how hard are you willing to go without getting paid? But in your example, it's pretty extreme. Millions of dollars gone wiped in 90 days. How did you deal with it? Can you walk us through that and the lessons that you learned from it?
So what I learned through that, man, is never let your ego get bigger than the good part of your soul. And
Yeah.
that's what happened to me. I allowed the success, financial success of Caden to turn me into a very egotistical, just horrible, self-sabotaging monster. And as a result of that, I got into a position where I was constantly trying to live what we call the personality ethics: wrath, rage, envy, lust, anger, jealousy, all these things. And it cost me everything because my best employees started to say, nope, I don't want to be part of this. Goodbye, goodbye. And then I ended up spending about $3 million on a job I was doing for a client, and they were supposed to pay me back for what I did. But unfortunately, because I was so arrogant and I was so just self-centered and thinking that you couldn't hurt me, oh, I'm a minority contractor, you won't hurt me, you won't touch me. Well, they hurt me, they touched me, they broke me. And at the end of the day, now I know it was my fault, right? Because I did all that extra work with no change order, which I tell my clients, every business deal stands alone. Do not look at what you did in the past to say, oh, I did this then, they're going to take care of me. Yeah, probably not. So be aware of that. And so when I lost everything, it was horrible. It was horrific. It was just, I was destitute. I was just like, wow, what do I do next? So all that money got dropped into that project. And when the company said, no more, we're not gonna pay your change order. And I remember it's like it was yesterday. It was December 23rd, 2012. And the bank called me around 7:30, 8 o'clock on December 23rd, 2012 to say, right, Carlos? Lines of credit, gone. Loan, called in. Equipment line, gone. Called in. And they were coming after everything. So I knew starting January of 2013, I was going to lose my home, my cars, everything. So I didn't just lose money, right?
Jeez.
I lost money, home, cars, credit cards, filed a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I was so broke. It took me almost 7 or 8 months to pay $3,300 into protecting myself for the bankruptcy. That's how far gone it was. And so if you're listening to this, I know what it's like to not know where your next dollar is coming from. I was fired from 2 jobs in the same week. How to really position myself, how to take care of things and business and you name it. What? I was there, lived it, done it. So if you're listening, what I'll tell you is that you can still turn the page to the next chapter of your life. Your life is not over because of a setback or because you failed. Great quote by Denzel Washington. If you haven't failed in life, you haven't tried hard enough. So again, I lost everything because of my ego, my bravado, and just thinking that I was untouchable as the minority contractor that in my mind was the best in the city. And in reality, I was just another contractor, minority or not, and I did something that I shouldn't have done. I'm out of business.
Damn. Man, first of all, I want to acknowledge you, man, because it takes balls, you know what I mean, to one of them to realize, right, that we're becoming that person that you described that you were before, right, with the ego, and now the energy that you were portraying around you, it was so ugly that everybody left, and then end up leaving you alone, and then you went on looking yourself in the mirror. And I talk about this a lot on the stage, whenever you look at the demon in the eyes, and then sometimes the demon is ourselves. And when you have the real talk with the demons and you say enough is enough, great things can come out of that, man. And congratulations in rebounding, my brother, because I know, I know it's not easy.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not easy, and it's hard because you have to realize that you're starting over, and that when you start over, you start at the bottom. I don't know if you know about you now. I'm a great quote guy. Love quotes. Another quote by a phenomenal individual, Rutherford B. Hayes, the 19th president of the United States. Every expert was once a beginner. But he didn't say this in the quote. Most of us do not like going back to the beginning. And when I moved to Raleigh in 2013, bankrupt and broke, I had absolutely nothing.
Yes, and I had a great guest in one of the previous episodes, being a beginner, even all of us that are now successful coaches, speakers, always being a student, always being a beginner. We learn just as much from our clients as we teach. I love that, my friend. And, now I know why you chose Get Authentic with Marques Ogden for your podcast show, because I see how much authenticity played in your own life and helping you overcome. Congratulations on being on one of the top 1% podcast episodes. I'm proud myself being on Apple top podcast episodes as well. It's something that, like we were talking earlier, how long we've been doing this is several years, and it takes time. There's going to be episodes that the first ones, nobody's going to listen. But if you never give up, if your goal is you guys know my goal over here within this show is to bring you guys great guests like Marques and extract the best, the reality, the authenticity, greatness out of them, and bringing to you guys the best knowledge, free education in the planet that I translate into multiple languages. And I go around the world and I speak in the villages to the little kids that once upon a time, I was that kid. And that's the goal of this show, is to bring great knowledge to others around the world. And, how did you maintain, Marques, authenticity in a world that often values superficial success? And part two of that, what advice do you have for others striving to stay true to themselves?
So what I'll say is this, is that what I've learned is that staying true to yourself when others are all about the superficial, they're all about things that don't matter, they're all about, what they think is like the best this, the fastest that, get this money, get that money, is that those people are living in a very, empty, unfulfilled life. And what I say is, what I'm trying to do is really be authentic and be really huge in that regard. And so it's really a major factor in this whole process. And that's what it's really about. It's about our ability to move and get things done where we need them to get done. So if you're listening to this, I took notes of what you said, right? Carl, about inspiring, like you've been there and helping kids. And I wrote that down. I want to use it in my podcast, like helping those who where you used to be, right? Again, another great quote by another great president, Abraham Lincoln, right? Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And what you're doing, right, Carlos, is you're setting the stage for I can get there, I can help you get there, but discipline has to be part of it. You have to do the work. You have to do what others won't do. You have to take care of, like I said, you've lost weight. That's part of it too. Like, being healthy and being that's part of the overall brand, part of the overall look like that. People look at that. So you're seeing that. And so what I'll tell you is everything that you do and everything that you don't do makes you who you are. Think about that. Everything you do and everything you don't do makes you who you are. I'm down like 25 pounds in the last like 5 months. I started running 2 days, 1 off. Sorry, 2 on, 1 off, 2 on, 1 off. That's what it is, right? And so at the end of the day, if you're listening to this, your character, who you are, is going to drive you to where you are, period. So if you're listening, it doesn't matter where you start. Doesn't matter where you finish either. It matters what you did to get to the destination, and you never, ever finish in reality, right? So it's not about where you start, it's not about where you finish. It's about, do you keep trying to finish, right? I hit a finish line with Caden, stopped, went bankrupt because I took my eye off the ball. So I hit the finish line, and then I was just that, finished. So if you're listening, there is no finish line. Just keep going. Just keep moving.
Yeah,
It takes care of itself.
Preach, my brother. Preach, man. It's like how we always say, how you do one thing, you do everything, man. My brother Bo Easton, also football player, always talk about when he was in practice, one of the other players, when he was his turn, he get the ball, he would run all the way to the finish line. And everybody was like, why does he do that? Because everybody know when you practice, right, you throw the ball, you catch, you right back in the line. This son of a gun, every time they throw the ball, he grabbed the ball all the way to the finish line. And everybody, what the heck, come back with the dim ball. And every time it's back in the line, all the way. How you do one thing, you do everything. And I'm trying to remember the name of the player. I think it was Jerry Rice or somebody. But again, that's how the greatest becomes the great. What is your relationship with practice? You gotta have a different relationship with practice. That is no plan B, it's only plan A. Nobody remembers second places. I don't know who silver medalists are. You know what I mean? So I love it. I love it. And Marques, I mean, we've both been in the corporate space doing consulting and mentoring small businesses, Fortune 5,000 companies this past 10 plus years. What common challenges do you see right now businesses facing today? And how do you guiding them through these obstacles? What is the main number one thing that you see it that's coming up often?
Lack of marketing, lack of getting in front of your potential audience. And if you do not market, if you do not tell people who you are, what you do, and how you can help them, I don't care how great you are, you will never, ever reach full potential. All of our clients are things I've done through marketing, going on a podcast, having people on our podcast, doing webinars, doing speaking engagements, being in the news, or being, doing some contributing to News Nation as a sportscaster, all these things. And people say, well, I don't want to invest in marketing. Okay, well then don't be mad when your revenue and your profit doesn't look the way you want, because you have to invest in marketing. So I tell our clients, invest in marketing based upon where you know your target client is, and do 3 things with your marketing. Identify, let people know who you are, what you do, and how you can help them. Identify what they need from you. Say, here's who I am. Here's what I think you need based on what you're saying. Here's a solution. You want to work together? Let's go. Verify. People saying how good you are at what you do is a major factor going forward. And then amplify, get the message out to as many people as possible, because that, my friend, is how you grow. Identify, verify, amplify. And as Bill Gates said, another quote, if I'm down to my last dollar, I'll spend my dollar on marketing. Bill
Hey,
Gates, founder, CEO of Microsoft.
amen, my brother. Amen. It's the real talk. I often tell people I have a waiting list of people that come to my company. One of my businesses about getting paid to speak on stages, and I tell them, yes, we can help you make a few hundred grand per year, but in order to get to a million plus, you gotta have to spend money marketing. Period. Done and done. You have to. It's the only way. And some people you might be comfortable with a few hundred grand, but other guys like you and I are very ambitious. Why we want to do bigger things? And you know me. My goal is to end hunger. My father died in a car explosion. I was a baby, and my stepfather was murdered. I seen things that kids shouldn't have seen growing up. I saw bread on the streets at age 7, and I say one day I'm gonna leave the body, and now you come back. And my goal is, until I am cannot breathe anymore, I will be one of the guys that help make end hunger and poverty and sex trafficking and organ trafficking in this planet. And when you say something often enough, long enough, it becomes. You start collaborating and meeting amazing people like yourself. And now we all collaborating, bridging communities and help others. And we keep raising the bar. We keep pushing one another to be better. And speaking about, coming from the block and the hood as I came, and you and I both speak a lot about diversity and inclusion being a critical, things that's happening right now in the business landscape. What advice do you have for companies right now looking to improve in these areas, my friend?
Anybody looking to improve in all aspects of business needs to understand that it's all about the culture, hiring people that have the skill and fit the culture, and creating a culture that fosters collaboration and conversation. And understand that at the end of the day, it's about how you brand, how you market, how you sell, how you operate, how you collect your money. If you're wanting to really grow and escalate and elevate to the next level, you have to truly understand what it is that the team needs and the culture makeup of your organization. And once you figure out what that is and you bring it full circle, at that moment, everything else takes care of itself. So if you're listening to this, understand that you need to hire both for the skill and the culture fit. Have a culture that fosters collaboration and conversation, and really excel at communicating with your team, with your people, because at the end of the day, that's what is needed to move the needle forward.
Yes, no, I appreciate it, my friend. As we coming towards the end of this incredible show, I know you and I, we had a very little short time today, and I wish you guys had more time here with us, but I bet you guys gonna want to see my brother Marques here in the future. Drop it down below. Hey, Marques, I have a question here for you. Before we go into the last question, what are some exciting things that you have going on right now? I know you and I have been talking offline about a few good things, but what is something that's really exciting you the most that's coming up that you are looking forward to?
We are launching a leadership, like an Amplify Your Leadership Academy, and we're having a virtual free LinkedIn meeting on our group, kind of like, session on July 18th from 1 to 2 o'clock. It's going to help you in areas of how to, become a better leader, how to lead the modern employee, and how to brand and scale your business. It's me and my business partners, Nick Hunt and Victor Garcia, and we're excited about that. And we're really looking to help people through the online community space, through our reach to get to the next level. So we're all about creating that type of environment where we're fostering us helping others to move forward with our online communities.
No, man, that's awesome, my friend. That's awesome. And what is the best place, Marquis, they can learn more about that? What do you hang out the most on social media?
So they can go to LinkedIn, which is my name, Marques Ogden. They can go to Instagram. They can go to our website, www.marquesogden.com. But a great place to go and an easy place to go is our app. Your Apple or your Android phone, pull it out and go into your Apple store or your Android store and type in my name, Marques Ogden. It'll pop straight up. It's a free app you can utilize to get exclusive content on how to be inspired, what is going on. It's going to be about stuff that you can connect to our website. You can connect to our socials. You can figure out what we have going on, our services. So you can just go to your app store, type in Marques Ogden, Android or Apple. It'll pop right up. And from there, you can connect with us, follow us, and then be inspired with great content for free on a consistent basis.
Boom. That's marketing right there. I love it. Marques Ogden, baby, in the house. And the final question, my brother. It's 50 years from now. It's your eulogy. We are 100 years old. We are your best friends are there. Everybody, drinking some scotch, some wine, some water, some tea, smoking some cigars, having a good time, playing ACDC, Metallica, or Van Halen, and or Tupac. And now your best friend is gonna be reading your eulogy, and that person's gonna say, Marques Ogden was dot dot dot. Who was, in your own word, Marques
Well,
Ogden?
Marques Ogden was a man that lived his life to help others live their best life and create a legacy for them to be remembered by. That's who I am. That's what I want to be. That's what I want to be remembered for, helping others to achieve whatever legacy they want for themselves. That's what I'm all about.
Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. My friend Marques Ogden in the house, and it's about to go down. Appreciate you all. Follow us, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, everywhere. You guys know the drill. Every Monday at 7:17 a.m. Pacific time, we are releasing new episodes. It's your boy, Carlos Inspire, in the house with my friend Marques. Another episode that is about to go down. Have a blessed day, everyone.